Good evening or morning, good night, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Wacky Weekend Lite, the Artie show without Artie, the down under show up above, but that could be changing very soon. Artie, maybe you saw by the little photograph, Artie has been found after weeks and weeks of missing. His best friends have located Artie. We have gotten him into rehab. It was not easy. He did not go willingly, but he's got to beat this coke habit one way or the other. But Artie is in custody. So hopefully they can get him clean and sober that he can appear on his live stream on his channel next week. And I'll finally get a vacation. So good evening to everybody. Whom all do we have here? Let's see. Let me look on this screen over here and see what we got. If it will let me look on that screen. So we have Attila Varga, who was instrumental in helping track down Artie and get him the help he needs. So we have George, the Florida Railroad Dog. Been a while. Hope you've been well. And we got Hot Dog Pilot Andy. Ray Bertelson just came in. Chris from the Valleys, 56. Brad from Willow Creek Industrial Spur. And Mark from Zantec. And Willie wants to say hi to Hot Dog Pilot Andy. Hello, Kara. Hi, Willie. Apparently you want to say hi to Hot Dog Pilot Andy, so say hi to him. You can ignore me. Go ahead, ignore me. Everybody does. Kiwi Dave is here. How are you doing from down there? Hope you are well in New Zealand. Our good friend Monsville is currently in New Zealand and posting some temporary layouts that they are building while over visiting their family in New Zealand. So yeah, it's been tough, but Artie is in fact beating his coke habit. It has not been easy to track him down and get him, but he is currently in a state of tough love. Hello, Greg from Great Northern. So yeah, it's been a long, hard fight. I think it came to a head when I finally just had to break with friendship last week, and I just had to reveal it all, get the word out there that maybe a little tough love and a little shaming love for Artie might help him, but he's missed his show for way too long. The last several months have been hard on everybody, and we just got to get him we've got to get him sorted out. It's tough, but this picture was taken last week when some dear friends of his, or not even dear friends of his, kangaroo friends of his, found Artie, and yeah, it was not good. It was not a pretty sight. So, hey, Dundas James, how are you? So Artie has been found, and we're hoping that a couple of weeks in a very strict, militant-like, controlled environment will clean him up, and he will be back with us. I just wish we could have Artie say hello, but unfortunately he is in solitary right now. From what I yell, screaming and kicking like a little girl, but that's beside the point. So wean him off with Pepsi. No, that's just another addiction right there. See, last week I reported it was Coke Zero. Unfortunately, I was mistaken. He was on full Coke. It wasn't Coke Zero. It was full Coke, as those pictures demonstrate. So, yeah, it's. I mean, maybe Artie will forgive me, but hey, it's worth the risk. It's worth the agony if we can get Artie up and sober and to stop snorting all the Coca-Cola and get him back on YouTube, because a lot of friends are missing him. So anyhow, what have I got planned today? Well, first of all, I have been working further on my scenery expansion. I didn't get as far as I wanted to today. I had a bit of a sleep in, and then Joyce had some running she wanted to do, and I just tacked. I need to run up to the hobby shop and get some scenery. Fortunately, they had some of what I needed. But I'll show a couple of camera angles here that you guys might see. For example, if I do the 11 lane, you can see I've expanded it. I've expanded the grass line all the way up to here today. When I started today, it was about here because I had just come around that curve. And now it's all the way up to here. So I'd say that's about 4.5, maybe, let's say 4 feet. So I did 4 feet this way, which doesn't look like a lot. But I also, hey, Andy from March West Junction is here. Hello, Andy. Hope you're resting and recuperating. Let me see. But what I did is some of the terrain was not matching. So I went back to this area and just added another cover. And I did the same thing with, so all the way through here. So I actually put a more consistent grass cover because we did have a little bit of differences that were annoying me too much. But now it's all more evenly distributed. Yes, it's still scattered and sporadic. There are some differences, but you know, that's good. But I just felt there was a couple areas where it was just too drastically different, which would not be natural. So that's what I've been doing today. My goal is tomorrow to take this up around the curve up to about where I'm going to put the river. And that's something I want to talk about today, where I'm going to put the river, which is behind the monitors. I want to get it into this curve. And then I've still got to decide. Oh, excuse me. Oh, come on, put. I still have to decide what to do here. I can't decide whether I want to just grass this whole area or grass some of it and put regular ballast in here because it's a parking area. I am debating taking this stop out for the final display and just making the whole thing the Bremen or Hanover public square with just a ring of buildings around the station and making the big open public square and getting rid of this little one. I've actually still considering taking out running lane 6 right here and just turning this, I think you guys can still see, well, you got the buildings of the way, but turning lane 6 up here into just another parking line and dead ending it on the other side there. So I would go down to running 5 trains on my live stream and get rid of that little short route. There's pros and cons for it. I just have to decide. But yeah, I've got to make some decisions. Yeah, the big one is, let me see if I can set this up. Let's go to Bridgeview. I'm trying to keep a thin gruel. Hey, did I see Brian from Clintonville is here? One step closer to bankruptcy with a new Hatton's 14XX 042 with the chip and stay alive and a WD 280. Yeah, yep. And James got 5 TH&B coaches for $100 for the lot. That's not bad. $20 a car is not bad at all. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I don't think any camera angle is really capturing it, but hey, S&C Railway Lines, welcome in, welcome in. I'm just trying to find the cameras that will show the best view of what I'm doing. So here's, I don't know, is that one or well, let's see, let's go to this one, and maybe if I turn this one and point it down, that might help. Yeah, that's probably a better view other than you get the monitor here. Okay, so how can I explain this? I want to put a river in here to here, just this area right here. So if you could see coming across right before the ramp starts from here over to here, I want to put the river in kind of angled through here, right over where these curves are. And that's the problem. I don't necessarily want to, you don't usually have a bridge with curves. So my area is going to be from here over to here, which is where it starts. And that's not really thick enough, wide enough for the vaser. So I still have a lot of thinking to do on how I'm going to do that river scene, because I really have to, I can't go any further up because the incline starts here. The incline going up starts right here by this copse of trees. The incline starts going up, going that way. You know, if you go up, the incline starts there. And I do want to put the river. I figured this seam here would be a good one, but I still have to deal with the curves here. And I would make these the bridges and pretend these weren't bridges. But I'm still figuring out how to do that. I may just decide, whoops, sorry about this, people. Earthquake view, vomit view. I may decide to just forget the river. I really want to put the river in, but one of the things is the Vaser is a very wide river. Where it's going out to Bremen, when it's going through Bremen, it's as wide as the Rhine or wider than the Rhine. It's very wide there. Really, the width of the river is it's easily 5 to 8 cars of a train. So if I were to do that scale, if I were to do the Vaser scale, it would have to be a large part of that back area there, which obviously I can't do. Well, the thing is with doing the aqueduct is there isn't one on the Vaser. And in that part of Germany, you don't have aqueducts anyhow. And I'm still basically trying to represent Delmenhorst to Bremen or Hanover. So you don't really have the aqueducts there. Those are found more down south. I think Cologne or Koblenz was the furthest north that you had Roman aqueducts. The north is very flat, so you didn't need aqueducts. In fact, at the time the Romans were there, the north was very marshy and swampy. It's been heavily dredged and drained. There are no mountains, real mountains in that part of Germany between Delmenhorst and Bremen. You have some very low hills, 100, 200 foot bumps, but that's it. So these are decisions I have to make. So I'll have to stop my terrain somewhere up in that corner and then work on the back, which will be a big challenge, working on that back area. But I want to finish this up and decide what to do with the Bremen side. I'll get this right sooner or later. So anyhow, that is the big decisions I'm dealing with. Of course, I have to get that upper. It's probably better to explain with the long view cam. There we go. I also still have to do this area here, but I can get to that through my access panel here. And again, it just comes down to deciding what to do with this parking area. I've got grass here, and I don't know whether to come grass so far and then start with ballastine or just do all grass across. Especially, it would make sense to do all grass across if I take out this station. And then as I go into the parking area, make it a mud scene, with minimal grass and more dirt and mud. Hey, Sparky, welcome in. So that is where I'm at with my my working on my layout. But yeah, it's been very nice to have. It's nice to have so much scenery done. Oh, that's not going to do it. The workstation cam, you can kind of see. If it will let me do it. Oh, that's old and broken. There we go. But yeah, so I got about 4.5 feet done with the grass, but now it goes all the way around, which I'm very pleased with. It's definitely looking more scenic and less of the what's the word I'm looking for? Less and less of the foam. And I haven't even added static grass, but I have some tricks I do to make this look, more natural, even for scatter grass, because that's all this is scatter grass. But I have tricks for layering it and mixing it and doing things to really create a nice effect. We're doing what have the Romans ever done for us? Hey, welcome in, Jeff. You went live again, I think last night or early this morning, but I was asleep when you were on. You keep going on when I'm not available. I'd like to go in. I like watching you work on your layout and hearing what you're working on. But anyhow, enough of that. I hope everybody's well. I'm looking to see if anybody else came in. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I'm not arrogant or like, wow, I do great. It's not a lot of fun because after I do a couple of feet, the hands start going, and you're trying to do all this very, I won't say delicate work, but you're holding a spoon filled with scatter, with ground scatter, the earth tone stuff, and all of a sudden you have a hand spasm and you throw the crap all over the tracks. So, yeah, that's my progress report. But the thing that makes me happiest, besides when I stand on this one corner, like the 11-lane camera, like this view, what makes me happiest is not necessarily how realistic it looks. It's not so much how realistic it looks or whether it looks that good or not. What makes me happy is I keep going. For the first time in 5 years, I'm accomplishing things in stages, and they're positive. I'm getting something in. Each weekend, I'm getting something done. I'm going a little further. I'm much closer to having the foam board covered. I still have to do a little strip right in here. I'll do that in the morning as well. I got to do the little strip in. I got this little thing here to keep on the straightways close to the edge to keep the trains from falling off. So again, I don't know. I thank you, Greg, for that. To me, it's a lot. There are other people that would get this whole thing done in a weekend, get the entire layout covered in a weekend. For me, I go very slowly, and I can only work so long. And then the back starts acting up. The nerves in the hands really start going bad. You know, you're because I do multiple layers. Okay, first layer, I put a layer of glue. I'm one of the few people in the train world that I know that before I put anything down, I put a layer, I brush on a layer of full PVA glue. And there's reasons for this, reasons that I would suggest people could do it or should do it. It does cut down the drying time, but it gives a nice solid base glued in, and then everything sits nicely on top of it. But I put down that. Then I put down my earth scatter mix. It's fine brown ballast, fine dark brown ballast, and then a little bit of medium black ballast, just, you know, like 2%. And then a little bit of earth turf, all mixed in. And then I scatter it. And the thing is, 99.9% of it will be covered. You will never see it. But the part that shows through once I do the next level makes it look really realistic to me. So the next step is then, and that stuff I spoon on. I spoon the earth mix, the ground mix. I spoon that on. Because again, a lot of people just paint the baseboard brown or foam board brown, and then they put the grass scatter on top of it. Some paint it green and then put the grass on it. I actually put a layer of turf and ground on, and then I take fine turf. I take green blend fine turf, you know, whatever color works for you. I try to go for a late spring, early summer look, late summer, early fall look, when and I do that by my fingers. I just get a bunch in my hand, pinch it, and then like adding salt to a soup, I just slowly go this way. I don't use a spoon. I use a spoon with the earth stuff, and then I use the bowl part of the spoon and smooth it and create a little bit of a trench. And then the green scatter goes on top of that, and it creates a nice effect. Hey, Mystic Railroad, how are you? I try to leave the world a better place. Hang on a second. Sorry. But at least they did not attack my work this week. What do you use for resin? Well, I've never done that kind of water scenic. The last time I made a water scenic, I was I was about 31, and I was making a war game, and I just used a ton of Elmer's glue, clear glue, that actually had a bit of a blue tint to it. And I was happy with the results, but you had to use a lot of it. It was kind of expensive. But I was happy enough with it. And otherwise, there are so many people out there, and there are so many different resins and so many different ways. Everybody has their trick, and each one looks great. You just got to decide that one looks more like what I could do. A lot of times when you're looking at stuff that people do, the first question you got to say, they made it look good, they made it work, but you look at everything they've done and be honest with yourself. Could I do that? Can I do it the way they did it? You got to find something that goes, that feels more natural to me. That's what I think I could do. It's been 5 years since I've done any scenery on this layout. And so, and I've never been one to say, wow, a lot of people say, hey, I've come on the internet to share information, show what I do. And I don't feel comfortable doing that because I'm too new to the hobby. I did wargaming scenery, but in wargaming scenery, it's very much slap and paste. And even though there's a part of me that wanted to look very realistic, you're also trying to get it done quickly. So I learned a lot of quick things that are not necessarily conducive. But the biggest thing for me has been deciding where I wanted to go. I started with, all I wanted was the Delmenhorst station. And then I had to come up with a run that I was happy with. And I didn't do block detection. My trains don't stop unless I make them stop because I'm a very manual person. I don't want a program, and there's nothing wrong if you do. I don't want a program running my train, stopping them at the station, and blah, blah, blah. If I had a big layout, well, I do have a big layout. If I had a much bigger layout where it took a long time, then maybe I would do block detection. But I'm running 6 trains, and I just like to let them spin around. It's very it's very mind numbing in a good way. You sit back and you listen to the trains run, and I'll watch them go by here. And then I have my OBS, what you guys watch on Friday. I will do that as well. I will put up the camera views that I can't see. I will put up the camera views from where I can't see it, and enjoy those views as well, because I can see the trains coming up here and here, and then say, okay, let me see how this looks coming from this angle. And, it's, some people say, yeah, but it's the same angles all the time. Yeah, but when you go rail fanning, it's kind of the same train all the time. It's not about whether it's the same or not. It's about, it's your hobby. There's a passion. I mean, there should be a passion. If it's going to be your hobby, there needs to be a passion for it. And that's a whole nother thing we could talk about. But anyhow, that leads me, after 27 minutes of babbling, to what I would like to hear from you folks about. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but people are still going on about Roman orgies. On my live stream yesterday, I was showing some of what I had gotten done last weekend before I did all that I've done today. And a couple of people may say, oh, now you got to add some flowers, and now you got to add this and this and blah, blah, blah. And I haven't even added static grass yet. And it made me wonder, what do you guys, what do you all, your own personal, when you're building a layout, okay, when you've built a layout or you're building a layout, my attitude is I do all of one thing first. That's how I work. So I'm going to get all the ground cover down first. Then I'll come back with static grass. Then I'll come back with weeds and flowers and tufts and bramble and so forth. This is just how my brain works. I get all of one project done before I go on to the next. Do you do sort of like, well, I'm going to do this little section and get it all done, and then I'll move on to another section and then get it all done, and then move on to another section and get it all done? What process do you do? Do you get one concept done? Like, I'm going to get all the ballasting done, then I'm going to lay the ground turf, then I'm going to do all the static grass? Or do you say, okay, I'm going to do the ballasting and then the groundwork? For example, Richard at New Junction, he been doing sections. Like, he gets a area, he says, okay, I want to get this area done, and then he gets that done. So he has this one area that's completely done, and then he has one area that hasn't been worked on yet. And that's not good nor bad. It's just what he does. When he's got it done, it's awesome. I don't work that way. I tend to want to get all the ballasting done, and then all the top cover done. Then I'll work on the next thing. I just want to get it all around, one thing done, and build it up. So what do you guys do? Now, Brad, what do you mean when you say you do different passes? Did I see Floyd was here? Hello, Floyd. Just put a new trolley line in your layout. Well, that's cool. Hi, Floyd. Can't stay. Have a great night. Hi and bye then. Okay. So anyhow, I would like to have you guys. I'm not saying there's any rule. I'm not looking for any rule. I'm asking, what do you do? I'm not saying there should be a rule. I'm saying, how do you do it? Because I had some people, I think, in my live stream yesterday, like, okay, well, now you need to go back this to finish it. And I'm like, I've got 40 more feet of terrain to do, of ground cover to do, before I start putting in the static grass and then the wildflowers and weeds and so forth. That's all I'm saying. I'm not looking for rules. I'm asking just, what do you do? Am I the oddball? Am I part of, am I the outsider, or am I more of the majority, I guess is what I'm looking at. Hey, Rick, how are you? And I'll put the link in, and we can talk about that. Again, I try to not just, well, I don't run my trains, and I can't run my trains right now because I'm waiting for things to dry, and I don't want trains running through them. Anyhow, but I'll put the link in, and you guys can come on up and share your thoughts on what I'm asking. So yeah, but I just, okay, did this lock up for some reason? Trying to get this comment up there. There we go. I do the ballast first and then the scenery. I try to get the used look effect and do it all at once. So you, in other words, you go section to section and get one area done, but you do the ballasting first. I just build whimsical and have fun. And that's why I see a lot of people. It's like, I work on this for a while and then I get sick of doing that. So I go work on something else for a while, and again, we're definitely not there. There is no right way to do it. It's whatever works for you. I'm just pointing out that, again, I had a couple of people like, you need to be doing this now. Again, that looks really good, but you're not done. You got to go back and do this. And it's like, well, I will go back and do that in my progress. So I guess I'm trying to find out how much of an oddball am I, not having grown up with trains and built layouts before. This is after 8 years. I mean, technically it's my third layout, but it's the first one I've actually tried to make a layout. People remember I used to always say, don't call my setup a layout, call it a train table, because I felt calling it was a little humbleness, a little bit of self-deprecation. I felt calling my layout was an insult to the people who actually built layouts. So mine was a train table. I like the Kansas and Western method. Put up a pole. Yeah, I probably could have put up a poll if I went into studio, I suppose. But I just like to have people chat rather than a poll, which gives you just cold facts or cold data. I like to hear the thinking process, which a poll doesn't give you. Yours is a pink foam wasteland. Well, yeah, but John, I've seen your most recent videos, and of course, you've moved cross country within the last couple of years, and you started a new layout, and you're getting things in while doing everything else you're doing. I don't think of it as a pink foam wasteland. I already see the track work you're putting in, and I go, damn, that's really nice track work, and it's going to have some interesting runs in it. And I don't gauge. I don't judge at the status, because in the end, I just like I like passenger trains running. Sorry, Sparky. I like passenger trains, but I like to watch people doing whatever they're doing, because in the end, I'm about the people that have fun running their trains and have that passion about the hobby. Andy and his passion with some of his new American stock. Or people that I've watched for 8 years now, 8 years, like Sparky, that just always had that passion for their layout and trains, even with multiple rebuilds and redesigns and such, but they keep doing it. Or somebody like a Chris at Go Via Go Home that had to tear down a beautiful layout, sadly, and move, and now he's building a new one. And it won't be quite as elaborate as the one he built, but it's Chris, so it's going to be amazing. I put in poll, you're still waiting for the stripper. Yeah, you didn't read the fine print. If you want a stripper, that was extra. And you better specify very carefully what kind of a stripper. Because if it's coming in from Taiwan or Thailand, you might get a bigger surprise. The closet branch. What are we discussing now? What I was asking is when you are building your layout closet branch, do you like work on one section and try to get that one section done, complete, and then move on to the next section and get it all done? Or do you like get one job done? Like, I'm going to get all the ballasting in, done, then all the ground cover done, then all the buildings in, done, then the static grass or whatever you're going to do, or the whatever. So do you kind of build section by section? Do you do one job all the way through and then move on to the next one? And I assume most people probably do something in the middle where they put something they put something in and then decide they've worked on this area for a while, and while they're waiting for that to set, they go work on another. And that works for me because I put in so far, and then while that's drying, I just do the next bit, more scenic, because I've been working a lot on putting my grass area. Hey, Monsville, how are you? Before you do scenery, you make sure everything works electrically. Indeed, I have to keep testing, make sure that everything is. But the nice thing is with my Miracle C-Track, which I don't have a piece available here, my Miracle C-Track, it's raised up. Hang on. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. And again, I put a link in, and if you guys want to come up and join the chat, there it goes. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bow. So with Miracle C-Track, like any pre-bedded track, there is a 2 to 3 millimeter ridge. I mean, it's actually deeper than that, but you connect everything here electrically. It even comes with tabs. So again, you don't have to run drop wires or everything. You just run it under the track and then up to these, and you still have a 2-3 millimeter clearance. So when you're putting your glues down, your half and half for your scenery, even if it goes under the track is still high enough that the moisture, the liquid will not affect the electrical work. So it's really cool that way. Andy says, I jump from job to job as I lose my mojo doing one job in one go. Okay. See, I'm the opposite, Andy. As long as I'm feeling it's going well, I keep my mojo. Because I'm happy I'm really eager to keep doing this grass because it's really making a change on how my layout looks standing here and from the cameras. Even many of you on the live streams have mentioned how much better it's looking than the brown paint and the pink scratch areas and the pink foam board, that it's looking better. Fleeting visit to say hello. Okay. Hey, Ray and Tammy, welcome in. Welcome in. Mom and son train rail fans. Well, now we quibble over these things. I don't do scenery till something jumps out at me for what to do. The layout has to talk to me. Yeah. And that's interesting, as you say that, Sparky, because you are, at least in one area, creating a very strong emotional place to you that is a real part of your life, and you are recreating it. One of the interesting things is I know when you first built the station the first time, and you told the story that this is a place you used to go past every day on your way to school and coming home. that you would cut through the yards there. And to me, because I'm doing the same thing with Delmenhorst, where it's got to be perfect. It has got to be the Delmenhorst I'm building. I can't tell you how much temptation there is to already go back and change some things, because the Delmenhorst station I built is how it looked in 2017, 2018, but several stores have changed. Several things have changed. I mean, the building itself is the same, but the signage and that is now different. The only thing that's still the same is Burger King, the Burger King in it. That is the only thing that's the same. If I were to go, let's see, not that view, village view, that view. So it's kind of hard to see, but when you look at the Delmenhorst station, there's a Burger King there, and the bus station is there in front, but the Burger King is the only thing that's the same there. There was a little shop on the left-hand side below the solar panel, and that shop is no longer the same shop. When I built this model, it was a little boutique called Mona's Moda, which means Mona's Fashions. So it was a little clothing store. Before that, when I first started going to Delmenhorst, it was a leather goods and repair and key shop. The guy did keys and he did leather repair. You know, it helps to multitask. But Mona's was the most recent, and now it's something else. And they've also changed some other things. Deutsche Bahn has shut down the Deutsche Bahn service center in this station. Now it's you either do it by machine or you have to go to Bremen. Deutsche Bahn and what were called the Deutsche Bahn service stores, which were little carryouts, they've now broken those off. Those things are now no longer officially Deutsche Bahn. They are whatever. So it might be there, but it no longer says Deutsche Bahn service shop there. I have the scenics in my head, but I need to get the track work right, then the ballast, then I'll do scenics. Yeah. And that's my problem is I know what it looks like between Delmenhorst and Bremen, and there's nothing particularly sexy about it. So there's no real hills. It's just countryside, which I can, you know, kind of show off with the back scene as much as with any scenics I do. You just got to make sure the grass and everything you're doing flows nicely into the back scene. So that my back scenes, when I finally get real back scenes going, they're going to be the real hogs with it. James says, I just wing it and go with the flow, no plans. In some ways, I suppose that's, I don't know if I'd say the best way, but it's a great way. You just say, I want to do this. But of course, if you change your mind, then you wind up going back and maybe deciding to have to reroute something. And when I'm building anything, whether it's a deck or I like to have very firm plans and have a very clear idea of where I'm going. And on top of that, everything except my layout, Joyce and I work together. So when I remodel a bathroom, when I remodel a kitchen, when I remodel, you know, where I'm stripping everything down to the walls and redoing the electrical, I have to think, okay, where do we want the light switches? Where do we want the outlets? What's code? You know, some things are standard code, et cetera, et cetera. How do we want the lights? How do we want, I need to have a very precise plan. And Joyce knows the last thing to do is I'm halfway done with something to say, oh, you know what? It would be better if we did this, because I will just go, grrr. Like when I rebuilt our bedroom 2 years ago, we had painted the wall and we let the wall set for a few weeks. And Joyce all of a sudden, just as we're trying to buy the flooring, decided she didn't like the color we painted the walls. and wanted something different. We had to go through that whole process and repaint the entire bedroom again. Mushroom farms have the best scenery. Plastic, very cheap. Depends on what kind of mushrooms you're going. Are you doing magic mushrooms? You plan to paint your backgrounds. I think there are so many awesome ways to do backgrounds. You know, for example, you have Dave at Scott Rails up in Canada who just did various shades of bluish gray or grayish blue, just hint scenery in the background, and that's fabulous. There are people that are very artistic and they paint very realistic backgrounds. Alan Reynolds at Buckland Junction, he just does very, very simple back scene paintings, but it sells the idea. Me, I could not paint like that. Even well, let's just put it this way. Even my stick figures look horrible. And so I just came up with what's the best way to show it? You know, the photographs don't look great right now because they've been up for about 6 years. But to be honest, from this angle, other than the seams and the fact that those were not mounted because those were temporary. Those were, you know, when I put those up, I thought they'd only be up a year or two. And it's 7 years late, 6, 7 years later when I put those back. But, you know, the nice thing is from here, you see the train, you see the backdrop. And other than the seam between the pictures, that's just Joyce took those pictures from a train. And the camera we had a panoramic feature. So she just clicked it and then did like a 10-second drive. And from the train, we just put the window down and looked out. And I then printed them up and cut them and seamed them together, but it's on photographic paper. If that were on a hardboard and put in with a little more work on my part to hide the seams, that'd be a pretty freaking good backdrop. You'll have hillsides all around the edge instead of a backdrop. That works too. I know some people, their backdrop, they just paint a blue, basically sky blue. And if they're feeling particularly adventurous, they'll put a cloud here or there. But otherwise, they just leave it go there. They just, that's their back scene. It's just blue sky. You can still put the windows down on some of the trains, but yeah, most of those trains, well, they're still in service in Germany in some places, but yeah. Hey, Randall Ellison is here. Wow, normally I have a bunch of, and Randall Ellison has just appeared in the basement. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pop Randall.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi, Randall. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. A little sore. My nerves are not nerves as an emotion, but just physical body nerves after doing all this little trying to hold things steady. And yeah, I'm shaky hands McGee right now.
Yeah.
For your Welsh backgrounds, it'll be gray. You can do that with Hamburg. So what's up? Are you on site?
I am not at work yet.
Yet.
Yeah, emphasis on yet.
Yet. The most dreaded word in the English language sometimes, yet.
That could change any time, but that's obviously up to BNSF. So.
Hey, there's Dirk from Southern Cross Wrestling. So anyhow, the theme today, and obviously you are still in the planning stages of a layout, but I was talking about, what process, because most people are saying they do section by section or one thing for a little while and then move on. I am very much, I am going to get all of one thing done. And then like when I do static grass, I'm going to do all the static grass I'm going to do on this layout, not in one day, but I'll get it all done in one go because some people work section to section. I'm going to get this section all done. And then while I'm waiting for something there to dry, I'm going to work over here. I just progress. I just keep moving down the line.
Sorry, I was trying to see how much time I had left for my dinner gets done. So,
okay. So that was the one topic I got going. Now we're talking about back scenes. And again, I would never tell somebody what to do. For my personal needs, photographic backdrops are the way to go for me. And every year Joyce and I go, like we're going to Germany in 1 month and 3 days we'll be in Germany. And we're going to be in the Delmenhorst area briefly. We're going to go take some pictures and we're going to keep taking pictures so that I can build more and more back scenes across between Bremen and Delmenhorst. And I will mount them on, Masonite or something like that. And those will be my back scenes because I want back scenes really on 3 sides, maybe even coming around. The only area I don't want back scenes are right here next to me, right next to me. Otherwise, I want back scenes all the way around. That's another idea. How people feel about, if you're going to do a back scene, how much of a back scene do you do? Do you just do it along one side? What's that? Oh my. Well, that's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. Moving down the line to coin a phrase. They're still working out a deal. Indeed. It all depends on your personal penchant. But have you picked up, you finished, I believe you finished your Thomas series, right?
yes. We did the last episode
right
last Monday, I think it was, a week ago Monday. So,
okay.
But yeah, the Thomas series is done. The last episode we reviewed Annie and Clarabelle, the coaches, and of course Thomas the Tank Engine. So and that put a wrap on that series. That will most likely be it, unless I decide to have a mental breakdown and buy more Thomas stuff at some point down the road. But that's unlikely to happen, though.
Yeah, my grandson Kyan, he's got Thomas stuff. He knows, he's 4 and he knows a lot more about Thomas than I do. I know Thomas, and after that, I don't know any of the trains or cars and stuff. I've watched a few episodes, Shinytown Station years ago with my kids and nieces and nephews, but it just was just there and the kids were watching it because I wasn't into trains, so I didn't care. Speaking of my grandson, he was upset because we ended our live stream and didn't say hi to him. We didn't do our Kaya because he never came on. His mom never logged on to say we're here. She said she was trying to do it because, like, just as we were saying goodbye, I guess he turned to his mom and he goes, "They didn't say hi, Kyan. They didn't say hi to me." And he was getting all blubbery lipped, like, So she called us and we did it on the phone real quick. And then he started laughing. And she's like, yeah, I asked him, did he want to go in and say hi? And he was like, nope, 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 nope. But then when you didn't say hi, he got upset.
That's the stage they go through.
Oh, well, yeah, he likes his routines and he likes that. What's this? I think that things should focus on the trains. Vaccines and off-track things are unimportant, bit controversial. Might be wrong. Well, no, they're certainly not wrong. I think everybody obviously has a perspective on that, Chris. I can agree. I will say this. My last trip to Miniature Wonderland, and I'll be going again in a few weeks. It'll be my 7th visit to Miniature Wonderland, but they've just built the South American section, and they did this one area that has no trains. It's this whole area near Rio de Janeiro, and they've got a couple of streetcars running through this one part of the city, but they have no trains running through that area. And I was disappointed. Everything is beautiful. It's amazing. The work they do is the best in the world. But wait, model train place without trains. So yeah, sometimes things get caught up, but they're creating a whole little world now. The F1 Monaco Grand Prix of the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, I should say. Monte Carlo in Monaco. And so it was interesting that I think everybody has their balance, but a lot of people, they just want one train running and they like to see all the scenery. The scenery, they want, there's a part of the world they want to recreate, and every blade of grass has to be right. Everard Junction from the UK, who is just an awesome guy and great, but he's that way about his layout. He doesn't judge other people that way, but on his own layout, every piece of trash, every blade of grass had to be of that era, of that time and place he was recreating on his last layout. He's currently out of the hobby. He'll be back in it. I mean, some people were not understanding what I was saying a couple of weeks ago when I said Everard Junction is out of the hobby right now. He will come back, but we don't know when. But he's one of the best model layout builders in the world. He's just an amazing talent, but he's meticulous about detail.
Yeah, me personally, I don't really care that much about detail. And I know there's some people on, like on Facebook and other places where, they're saying, why don't people build anything anymore? Why are people buying ready to run all the time? And I always try to tell people there's a value in both. If you want to do the kit stuff only, or not kit stuff, but build everything from scratch or build kits, that's fine. If you want to buy ready to run stuff, that's fine. I do both. I mean, this car here, this is an AccuRail kit.
Right.
So, and then,
hey, Trainmaster 9000, welcome in. I am a live and let live guy.
This locomotive is ready to run, so I do both. So I see value in both that stuff. So,
well, I think that might be why they haven't done Iceland yet. And hello to you, Jean Ricard. Why aren't you in bed asleep?
Hey, John.
It is past your bedtime there, Tex or Dane. But yeah, it's always, again, we always go back to the phrase rule one. And because we all have our preferences. Me, I am primarily about seeing a lot of trains run. So I am torn between, in some ways, being a rivet counter and being the absolute opposite of a rivet counter. My Delmenhorst area with the 3 lines in for at least through the station had to be exactly like Delminor's, because I am recreating a place that is very special to me. So that had to be inside and out. The amount of detail I put on the inside, and nobody will ever see that damn detail unless I get some sort of snake cam and go down the stairs to see that all the shops are there, the lockers, the phones, the clocks, the bathrooms, everything is there. I meticulously built that, scratch built, inside and out. It is true 187 scale, width and length, except for platforms 2 and 3, which I had to cut because to get them the true length, the table would have had to have been 15 feet long, and it's, 16 feet long, and it is 12 feet long. And so and that's why you pick the YouTube channels you like to watch. I get a lot of people, especially the European guys, will give me a lot of grief because I'm running all these trains and it's not realistic. But also with my passenger trains, I want them to be as close to proper consist as possible. I do make exceptions, like an ICE 4 should have 12 cars, but 10 cars is just too long. So I do it as 9 cars, which is the proper consist of an ICE 3. And then you have 8 cars for an ICE 1 or 2, or a double 8, where it's 2 8s put together. But the ICE 4s can do double 12s.
Yeah.
And have 24 cars in a set. Although usually they do double 9s.
And I guess I'm a bit odd in that respect too, where some of the locomotives and stuff that I get either reflect my childhood or early adulthood. The quote unquote happier times, like the BNC 30-7 I reviewed a little over a month ago. Some of the Frisco units I have, which technically with the Frisco stuff, I have family ties to that railroad.
Right.
Because I had a great uncle that worked as an engineer for the Friscos. So, and then I also had other family members that worked for BN and for Frisco and BN. So, so there's that aspect of it. So,
yeah. And so again, with every person, how you build, what you build, the way you build it, what you run, how you run. Every one of these, there are an infinite number of ways to do it. And that's why I hate it when somebody says, I got linked to a channel a couple of weeks ago, and it's not the first time I've been linked to a channel where the first guy is, I'm going to show you the right way to build a layout. I'm done with that. That's a dangerous one. I'm done with that channel right there.
That's a dangerous. That's a dangerous thing right there.
That is such, in my opinion, a dangerous attitude. I'm going to show you the right way to do it. There is no right way to do it. There are many right ways to do it. Obviously, there are certain things you better get right if you want your trains to work. You better get the wiring plugged in correctly. Okay. But, there are people like, I've made this quote many times. There was a channel that I won't even watch a channel if they don't weather their trains. Okay, so don't watch a channel if they don't weather their trains. You might miss out on some fun or good people. But, the minute your first thought, the first thing you say is, I'm here to show you. That is such a mountaintop ego. And so I don't want to deal with that. They may show you how to build the most brilliant layout you'll ever build. But the minute it's the right way, not the right way, the right way, I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I've had run-ins with guys in Facebook forums say, there's a right way to model railroading, there's the wrong way to model railroading. And I keep telling them, technically, no, there's not.
Yeah. When you're building,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Brian from Clintonville is saying, well, I mean, if he's talking about wiring, yes, there is a right way to do the wiring. I mean, and even that way, like, positive on this side, negative on that side. Well, technically, as long as you're consistent, you can flip them. That part doesn't matter. But yes, they're to avoid shorts.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not harming your equipment or potentially harming yourself. I mean, there's that right way and wrong way. But
when they're going to talk about this is how you stack grass, this is how you lay track. Obviously, again, laying track. Well, you want the rails pointing up.
And you don't want it derailing either. All the time.
Yeah. And there are tips like you don't want to have code 100 going straight to code 83. You'll need a transition piece.
Right.
All right. But again, that's not the stuff this person is referencing. Okay. We all know anybody who's messed with it. And we sometimes learn by accident, like, wow, my train keeps bumping here. Why are these rails off? Oh, because this is code 75 and this is code 83. Or this is code 83 and this is code 100. Oops. Okay. You learn those things. Lord knows I've had to learn a lot because I started at age 52. I started at age 51, 52, where most of you guys started at age 6. Now, I know like James Galton, I don't know if he did the hobby when he was younger, but he often says he's only been in the hobby for a few years now. So I don't know. James, did you do trains when you were younger? Did you do model trains as a kid or to a certain age? Or when you started a few years ago, that's when you started? Eric, what's code track? Well, thanks for sharing that, Andy. I'm sure that's important news. Hey, I see R. Jack James is here. Welcome in, R. Jack James. And the problem is somebody will be sarcastic, somebody else won't catch that. But yeah, it's...
I'm reading Mystic's comment. It says, this is the way. And if you don't like it, screw you, pal. My next video.
Yeah, it just, you immediately get into trouble because there's probably 10 channels that are going to go, wait, he's talking about me. Because but the thing is, those people, when they're saying, I'm going to show you the right way.
Here's another thing.
They're not talking about getting the wiring right. They're like, there is one way to build a layout and everybody else is an idiot if you don't do it the way I do it. Because no matter what hobby you get into, there are people that are like that. There's in baseball, there are guys, this is how you throw a ball. This is how you swing a bat. This is how you stand. And if you do it any other way, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. This is how you throw a football. This is how you when you're fishing, this is how you cast a line, and this is how, and this is, no matter what interest, hobby, field, job you have, there are some people that there's only one way to do it because that's how their brain works. There has to be one right way. And those are dangerous people.
And then if you do it their way and it still doesn't work, then they get mad at you because they still think you did it wrong.
Yeah.
And you sit there and tell them, I did it exactly the way you told me to.
Yeah, it's it definitely has. And to be honest, there's an old adage: the burned hand teaches best. After that, advice about fire goes to the heart. And in other words, sometimes the best way to learn something is to screw up and then go, ha, now I know the right way. Now, of course, if you're dealing with high voltage electrics, you may not get a second chance. But in general, we learn. I have learned not enough. In all honesty, I have not learned enough in this hobby. I watch guys doing some things, and part of me goes, oh, that'd be cool to do. But it's like, I don't want to learn how to do that. I don't want to learn how to do that. You always want to learn, but I'm still trying to learn 10,000 other things. And when I come to my hobby, I want my hobby to be brainless. I want it to be stressless.
Here's something I really kind of wanted to kind of get into, Anthony. Of course, I know it's a trigger point for some people with the whole fantasy scheme thing that goes on within the hobby, but I've really kind of gotten into an interest with the what if side, seeing guys post stuff, either models or renderings or whatever, of what would X railroad that's a fallen flag now look like if it were still around 2025.
Right.
So, like you have, you'll have modern locomotives like a SD-78 in the Rock Island scheme, for example, or you'll have a Tier 4 Gevo in Frisco colors. I mean, that stuff I've kind of started getting really intrigued with that stuff, to the point where I'm tempted. I'm keeping my eye on a locomotive that's undecorated, and I've got the decals for it. I just don't have the paint or the airbrush yet. But I want to eventually do a what if Frisco engine, is what I want to do. What would that locomotive look like? Most likely, it would probably still be in the what they call the Chevy engine block red and white scheme. But with, like Santa Fe having their super fleet scheme that ran up until their merger with Burlington Northern in 1995. I think it started I think it went from 1989 to 1995, if I remember correctly, and then it lived on sort of a year after that. What they call the fake bonnets.
Right. But, and the nice thing about fantasy, just to be rude and interrupt you there, nice thing about fantasy is that since it's fantasy, you don't know. And so anything is possible.
Right. But a lot of people look at that and say, well, that's not how the real railroad is, and it needs to be like the real railroad.
Oh,
and fantasy schemes are for losers, and yada 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 and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I know you get that. You've gotten that at club at times.
Well, not more on Facebook than clubs, but
okay, I apologize. Facebook.
Yeah. It's the club is run what you brung. I mean, they don't care what it is.
Attitude. I don't get this attitude, but unfortunately, it is an attitude that is dominant.
Well, see, the thing is, if you want to do prototype stuff, that's fine. That's great if you want to do that. But if you want to do fancy stuff, that's cool too. If you want to do both, like me, I do both, with both real and fantasy. That's great too. But I always say there's not a be all end all way to model railroading. Like you mentioned before, there's really only two rules. One, make sure you have a plan in place for whatever you're going to do, whether it's like what I do with a 4x8 table or stuff like that. And B, make sure your track and wiring and everything is good where you don't have any frustration. After that, there's no rules. You can throw away the rule bit. So.
Oh, that would be cool, Chris. Let me respond to a couple of things here. Of course, the ego one here. Mystic says, you're one of the most supportive and encouraging people in the community. Well, yeah, I will never say a negative, and I will almost never offer advice, even when somebody asks for advice, because my attitude is there's somebody who knows a hell of a lot more than me. But if I have an idea like, oh, I have worked on something like that, and I found this might be easier, you could try that way, but then this guy did this, I'll probably offer like 20 different ideas. But yeah, I don't know how many people get tired of me when they post videos, especially people that post videos every day. And yeah, I'm a superlative guy. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's great. But I don't say those glibly. I'm not saying it just to say it. It's how I feel. I'm looking at, I'm watching it on my big 75-inch TV and I'm like, damn, that's cool. Look at that new train. So whether it's somebody running it on their floor in their bedroom or whatever, or just whatever they're doing that's having fun. My friend Arthur, who's got this amazing, crazy Arthur from O Gauge and Slack Cars. He lives in the Jersey part of New York area. He does all sorts of crazy things on his layout. He's always building, he's always changing, doing all kinds of, And it's just fun to watch. There's nothing prototypical. It's just fun. And I try to, I'm a rah-rah guy.
So just for kicks and giggles, just kind of sticking with the fantasy bit, there's this channel I watched a few years back, and I just recently rewatched his video, and I don't know if he's ever put out any more videos on it or not, but he built an entire fantasy train in I think it was O scale or O gauge, but the locomotive and its accompanying cars are based off of an anime called Galaxy Railways. Now, if you haven't seen that show, the main character is actually a locomotive that is a parody of the Big Boy. So if you watch the show, you could automatically tell it's what the parody what it's based off of.
Right.
But some guy, one of the guys on YouTube, and I think he goes by the channel name of a Otaku Rail Fan.
Okay.
I'd have to look that up just to make sure, but he built an O scale version of that train in the anime, which even included the cannon car, which he scratch built himself. Because in the anime, the middle of the train, the car that's in the middle, is actually a gun car. It has guns all over it, so or cannons, however you want to say it. But yeah, like the barrels fold out to the side and fold out on top. It's really neat.
Yeah.
So
and the people that have a problem with that, we go back and understand that because I'm the opposite. I will quote be negative towards what I perceive as negative attitudes. There's nothing wrong with being a rivet counter for yourself or among your rivet counter friends. The minute you're a rivet counter over somebody that's just trying to do their thing, and you're like, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong, that's wrong, you didn't do that right. Andy's comment here, you've had it at the club, so you don't name the layouts after a real place because somebody's go, well, that's not right, and that's not. Yeah, these people, it's like no matter how much within a community we could say, they'll watch the video. I've watched videos on channels where the guy is a rivet counter. He is very specifically this is right, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And he'll say, I'm not a rivet counter. Oh, you most bloody well are.
Oh, I hate it when they do that.
Or they'll say rule 1 all the time when they don't, because they'll go on to other people's channels and say, well, you should have done this and you should have done that.
A great example of that. A lot of people probably know this channel, Sterling Callahan's channel, which he goes by the name of Ravenhawk 6910 on YouTube. I know probably a lot of people know that channel, but he got a custom-made SD70 ACU that was in a CPKC paint scheme, which if you haven't seen the new scheme that they came out with, it's basically the front 2/3 of the locomotive is red, and then there's a gold stripe near at the radiator section, and then it's black on the rear end of the locomotive is the best way I can explain it.
Okay. There he is.
But he got a custom painted fantasy model, an SD70 ACU. FY, none of those locomotives have gotten that scheme as of right now. They probably will eventually, but as of right now, they're still in their original CP rail scheme.
All right.
But
joining us. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were.
No, go ahead. I'll let you.
No. I was just gonna say, joining us from his Buck Beer Fest.
You saw the video, the shorts.
Yeah. Yes, I saw your shorts, and wasn't a view I cared to see. No. Welcome up, Eric. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How's everybody doing tonight? How you doing, Randall?
Oh, doing pretty good. How about you, Eric?
I'm doing really good. Probably too good.
Aha. Those good German beers will do that to one.
The first Maibach of the seasons. So. No, anyway, I like the conversation tonight. I caught a part of it on the way home, and then I left for a minute, so I didn't catch the whole thing. But the guy that built his Big Boy off of the anime that he was watching and liked. That is just astounding. And that there's somebody out there that's criticizing that. That's not prototypical or whatever.
Right.
I don't want to cause any issues by saying what I really think, but we're gonna,
The thing was, Eric, I didn't really see that much negative on his videos, at least as far as comments. Now, unless I didn't see him and he deleted them before I got a chance to read them. But a lot of people that I read the comments of were actually pretty supportive of it and thought it was really cool. But of course, I didn't really scroll through all the comments, so there may have been somebody
as Eric pointed out in the live stream, he's got the Lucky Pig train from Maryland, the Lucky Pig train.
But just to finish what I was saying earlier, Anthony, on Sterling's video, he did get a negative comment, and I've actually got a screenshot of it. That actually it's a screenshot he took, and then I took the screenshot off of it, where somebody wrote a comment to him saying, "Why did you waste your money buying a fan?" I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, "Why did you waste your money buying a fancy unit when you could have waited a few months and Scale Trains and BLI could have come out with a prototypically accurate one, and this and that and the other, but you chose to waste your money because you're in the system," or something like that. I mean, it was just really stupid. But and Sterling took a like I said, he took a screenshot of it and shared it on his Facebook page. And he said he deleted the comment after he did that. But yeah, I mean,
I'm so open with mine. I have my email out there. A lot of people do, but mine's very open, and I'm involved in a lot of things. You got to have a, we all say you got to have a thick skin, but as I did a video a year ago about the straw that breaks the camel's back, again, there are people. There was a great book I read when I was at university, and it was called "The Man Behind the Mask," and it's the psychology of the mask, and like executioners, and that the anonymity allows us to resort to more banal, primal, cruder instincts because there's no repercussion, and so you can just stick whatever image you want on your ID on social media, and you can go to town and see, and take pleasure in how many people you annoy, a form of schadenfreude. How many people can I annoy? And, so we always say, ignore that. But this is what it comes down to. There are so many ways we can do things and so many different ways we enjoy the hobby. And there are people that aren't happy unless you're happy in the way they're happy. Mm-hmm. You have to go their way. You have to be, we have to keep it non-political, but everybody has to do it this way. The problem with the hobby is you got all these people doing this wrong. It's like, are they happy? Yeah. Are they hurting you? No. Then line drawn, move on.
Mm-hmm. That's what I always say. If you're happy with what you got, you're automatically doing it right, doing the hobby right. I mean,
the only thing that depresses me about this hobby is when I break something and I don't know how to fix it, which is about 70% of the time.
Yeah,
but you do figure it out.
Okay, sure.
No, I mean, what happened to the days when we could disagree and still get along and be friends?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. There are things where there are certain things in the world that if we disagree on, it's beyond. But that's the funny thing is when we come to the train community, it's something we have in common. But still, it is human nature to divide and create camps. And that's no different than animals. Animals create packs and blah, blah. And there's certain animals that are isolationists. They stay away from everybody, even of their own type, except for mating season. And then there are animals that this is our group and that's your group. And humans are no different. We are tribal. Humans are tribal. We have a group, and we want that group to be the same. And anything that's different, anything that challenges our perceived right and wrong, makes us uncomfortable. And whether that's nature or nurture, I don't know. But again, these are the people like, you have to do it this way. That's why the minute, if that's the first line that guy says on that channel, as I mentioned, I'm not going to watch your channel to find out whether I would even like you or not, because the first thing you say is such a wall of emotion. I'm going to show you the right way to make a model train layout.
And like I said, I ran into a guy on Facebook that said the same thing you just said, Anthony.
Yeah.
And I asked him point blank, I said, what is the right way and long way? And he never would answer the question. All he would say
I have
is,
fantasies too, but they have nothing to do with model trains. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe.
But anyway, all he would say was, well, if you fire back at the guy or at the person criticizing your layout and this and that, you're the one that's in the wrong, not the guy criticizing you,
Right,
or bashing you.
and
I'm
this
like,
is something.
So I tell him, I'm like, okay, so here's a scenario for you. Let's say I make a box car like this. That's anime based. By the way, I kind of cheapened this one up. I use stickers I bought off Amazon. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I said, I'm like, let's say I paint up a fantasy train of some type. Some dude shows up or some cat shows up in the comment section saying, what you did is wrong. It's junk. You should be thrown out of the hobby and this and that, and yelling and screaming in the comment section and everything. So this person's saying a commenter can come in, bash your layout, but if you say anything back or bang, you're the one that's in the wrong. That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah.
Those people can run over you, but you can't do anything to them.
Right. You know, in America, we have a First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, but there's a lot of people who don't understand freedom of speech does not mean like, you know, something gets blocked on social media. Oh, they're blocking my freedom of speech. No. You got to say it. You have the freedom to say it. Freedom of speech does not mean you're free, that you can say what you want with impunity. Freedom of speech means somebody can say something different back to you. It's not, I can say what I want and you can't tell me no. No, I have freedom of speech to tell you no.
Yeah.
So if you want to throw some crap at me, I have the same right to shovel it back at you, per se. And that's something we kind of forget. We feel like, well, I can say what I want and people can't criticize me. No, we can't criticize you for saying what you want. For saying what you wanted to say. If it was something we all considered foolish or stupid, you got to say it, and we got to say that was stupid.
There's a guy on YouTube, civil rights lawyer, and I like what he says. Just because I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember it right, but basically my rights don't end where your feelings begin, or something like that. You know, I can say what I want, and if it offends you, well, then it offends you, but you can say it back to me too, or.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing. You're to some degree, certain freedoms end when they interfere with my freedoms, but freedom of speech is the one that there is no wall. You can say what you want. If it hurts me, it hurts me. And I have a right to say what you said hurt me. And I have a right to say something back that hurts you. And in the old days, that might lead to, you want to step outside and talk about this? Because, you know, Lord knows I've had that with students over the years where I would have a kid get up in my classroom and say something. And I would say, let's step in the hall and talk about this.
Or if you were like the way my grandpa was back in the day, you sold it with like that.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's the step outside bit.
Yeah, that's why.
No,
I could tell some
my
stories
dad had
about
the
that.
fastest backhand in the East if you said something he didn't like. And my problem was I was a smartass. And I never learned not to push my father that way. I mean, my dad would be like this, okay? Anybody who's ever had something with your dad, my dad would be like this. Where are my glasses? Anybody see my, where the hell are my glasses? Who took my glasses? They were on the TV set. Where are my glasses? And if you pointed out they were on his head, he was mad at you. And if you didn't tell him that, he'd be like, where are my glasses? I had my, and then you'd find something to be. But the thing is, my dad would do this with his glasses where, you know, he's working on something, he lifts his glasses up, and then as he's trying to look down, his glasses fall on his face. And one day he was working on his car and I was helping him, and his glasses kept falling down, and they fell down, and he went, damn these glasses, son. And so I took his glasses. I said, hang on, Dad. And I sat him down on the tool tray he had. And I went, glasses, I damn you. I thought I was hilarious. And then I woke up.
Well, you know, my dad told me this story a long time ago. My grandpa and grandma used to own a bakery out here in town. Or used to run a bakery. And I don't remember if my grandpa and one of the guys that was in there got into an argument or how this actually happened. But anyway, they got into a brawl, a fist fight. And long story short, it spilled out into the streets, and my grandpa was wailing on this guy, and the deputy sheriff was standing there, and he pulled him up off of him and basically told him, Earl, you can stop now. He's had enough. He's had enough. And my grandpa said, now I remember this part pretty well. My grandpa had said he ain't had nowhere near enough. He still ran his mouth and still went right back to wailing on him. So that's how they were back in those days. You wanted to mouth off, you better be ready to throw down.
But, you know, the minute we go back in the days, you know, everybody always.
Well, yeah, I know.
The good old days. The good old days were not that good.
Yeah, they were not that good.
Memory takes out the bad. You know, I can sit here now and joke about some of the things my dad did. It wasn't funny when I was 15. It's funny now that I'm 60, but it wasn't funny when I was 15. I thought I was funny, and I go back and I think I was funny. I thought, man, if only my fighting instincts were as quick as my mouth. Where I say something and knew to duck.
Well, you know, my dad used to talk about the good times he had going to like the drive-in movie and stuff like that. But he would also tell you about the bad stuff too that went down. And I won't get into that because that's family matters. But he would always tell me about some of the bad stuff that went down too. And you know, it was not all sunshine and roses back in those days.
No, my dad was a depression baby. My dad was born in 1930, and he was an oops baby on top of it. So times are tough. And, oh, crap. Gaetano, what are you doing being pregnant now? We're in our 40s, and now you're dropping another kid, you know. And which is literally something my grandfather said to my grandmother at the time. But yeah, and the funny thing is to look at March West Junction's comment here to get back into the chat. Yeah, and one of my favorite trains in the UK is the Avanti Pride because I just love the livery. It's just, you know, but yet some people, again, you know, if you talk about a topic that can go negative, we'll take it to the negative. You know, we start talking about how do we do certain things, and then we talk about how people judge it, and then we get to rivet counters, and then we get to these people and it's, yeah. So we, you know, I laugh, and I hate to say this because I don't want to offend anybody. I mean, if I offend, I offend, but you know, a lot of times we'll say, this is the greatest community in the world. You know, you'll watch channels. The model trade is the greatest community. Well, so's the quilters community. And so is the other community. You know, every community you're in is the greatest community, because there's lots of people. The bigger the community gets, the more people you'll find that will help you out. But we've got the snakes, the backbiters, the weasels, and the nasty folk like any other community does. But in the end, that's why I am, and I've been called, for all the things I get negative, to go back to that comment from John, I take a lot of guff for being such a Yahoo person. I'm very negative on myself and very positive towards everybody else. I don't care. My goal is always this, when you're doing something and you're taking the risk of putting it on Facebook or YouTube, my thing is to say, hey, that's great. That's cool. I like that. Good job. And you say that and I'm only subscribed to about 500 channels only, because there are people, again, I hate to talk about people that weren't here, but Sparky was here earlier, and I forget how many channels he said he subscribed to. And I've mentioned this in my live stream a couple of weeks ago. His support is to subscribe to your channel and watch as many videos as he can, as he has time, and leave a comment here and there. He doesn't watch, I don't know if he watches all my videos or 1 out of 10 or whatever. Occasionally he leaves a comment, whether it's on a song or a video a serious video I did. But he's a positive person. He wants to support. He wants to help. And anybody who knows Sparky over the years knows all the great things he did, the gifts he's given, the way he's gone out of his way to help people. And my small part is just, Leslie Gilpin puts up a video every other day of beautiful rail fanning. How many times does he read from, he sees Anthony's comment, because Leslie always responds to every comment. Awesome video, Leslie. I really like the way you had that angle there and you did this here. Great trains, nice mix, blah, blah, blah. And he reads, it's not the exact same comment every day, but after a while, they all got to sound the same. But there's only so many superlatives, and I just like to do that. So I think this is great. I'm not going to, you're taking the time to put it up. I'm not going to crap on anybody.
And something that it's okay to be a rivet counter.
Yeah.
Be a rivet counter. Be a rivet counter. Just don't dunk on other people because they're not.
Right. Exactly. You are free to see things. You are free to say, I don't like people who don't weather their trains. That's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. We could go very controversial. It's free to not like whoever you don't like in the community. You're free to not like. But that doesn't mean you're free to have to go in and crap on them because you don't like what they do or who they are or how they are. You don't like bald people. Okay, you don't like bald people. I don't think bald people should be in the hobby. You're allowed to have that attitude. You can have that attitude. You don't like bald people in the hobby. And you have the right to come on my channel and say bald people suck and don't belong in the hobby. And I'm sure there's at least 3 people that are going to type that on my next video just to be funny.
I was already planning on doing that.
And but the truth is just be, it's like goes back to Jurassic Park, a paraphrase of Jurassic Park. Just because you have the right to do it doesn't mean you should. In other words, just because you have the ability to crap on somebody doesn't mean you should. Move on. I put up videos, and anybody who knows my parody song videos, I talk about this a lot, my parody song videos, I sing some, and I have one of the worst voices on planet Earth. I'm fully aware. But do you know how many emails and comments I get from people? Who told you could sing? Even though the first thing it says is beware, Anthony is singing in his horrible voice. But I'll still get people go, who told you could sing? Why on earth would you torture my ears like that? I'd be, why did you listen for 4 minutes? Are you a masochist that you had to listen for 4 minutes and then take another 2 minutes to write your comment down? I would have listened to myself for 2 seconds and go, holy cow, and left. But, and the thing is, I usually handle that with humor. Somebody says, who told you could sing? And I usually type back, my mommy did, and she would never lie to me. Bald and bearded guys in this hobby are perverts, you were told.
Wait, what?
Bald and bearded guys in this hobby are perverts, I was told. That's Attila Varga, who, by the way, is bald and bearded. And well,
It's like you're odd man out, Randall.
I don't think this is something we can or should maybe try to prove or disprove on any live stream. If I mean, you could go. Lord knows I get so many comments about that. You could go watch all the Matt Clark stuff if you want all that stuff, because there's a lot in there. We got a talking horse that talks about safe words. Okay, if anybody knows Goliath from now, Smokey, when you ride me, make sure you use those spurs really good.
I need to figure out some way to work a Goliath character into the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode series that I'm doing. I don't know how you can work a I've already got Rusty Twanger's offspring in the series. That's a little bit of a spoiler for what's coming up, Anthony.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Because like I said, I gave you the option there when your car blew up on the one race or, got flipped or whatever it was. I typed that in there. I had, Matt, did we just, yes, Diesel Dan.
Yeah. The whole four-finger crew got.
I have people ask. I've had people
trouble over that one.
Pull up a train in every Matt Clark. Yep.
That is a requirement. A train must perish.
A train, one train. We went crazy on Christmas Special 3. We blew up 3 trains. Okay, we got magically fixed, but we did. But my favorite bit was where we blew up the model train. They went into A. Dalt's bookstore. Aloysius Dalt. He's Aloysius Dalt. If you don't know, he's a character in Matt Clark. He runs a toy and bookstore. It's A. Dalt Books and Toys. And Aloysius Dalt, who is from Germany. Hey, Mr. Clark, what can I do for you here? And they had a Miraculin train. They had the first Miraculin train, and they got electrical power. And so Diesel Dan and Matt are playing with them. They're spinning. Make it go faster. They, whoosh. There's blue. Smokey's like, there's blue smoke coming out of it, Matt. Oh
no. The thing is with this Rusty Twanger, which I'll go ahead and spill it. The Rusty Twanger the fourth is who this character, who is going to be associated with Fredo's team.
Good night.
You'll have to use your imagination with the paint scheme.
That's a dangerous.
Unfortunately, because of the way the console versions of the NASCAR Heat Series works, you can't make truly custom schemes like you can with the PC version. And that's kind of the one thing I hate about the console games is, which is kind of odd because in NASCAR 20, which one have I got? It's for the Xbox 360, 2011. I think it's NASCAR the game 2011. You actually can make custom schemes in that game. It actually allows you to do that. But for whatever reason, they elected to not go that route. Motorsport games.
Is that a wristband to prove you're of drinking age, Eric?
Yes. Yes, everyone had to get one. I just realized I still had it on.
I love it. Every now and then they do card me when I so rarely buy beer. I bought a 6-pack of beer 5 months ago, and there's still 2 in the fridge. I make up for it when I'm in Germany, though. But yeah, every now and then they'll card me and they'll go, I need to see your ID. And I said, does this count?
No, we have to enter a number in the computer
that are gray and bald.
Yeah, no, we have to enter something into the computer.
Yep.
Like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Oh, yeah, they do at the cash register. Joyce works behind actually, everybody in my family worked behind a cash register. All 3 of my kids, Joyce, we've all done. So we've been there. We know. We always tell that to people at stores and restaurants. We've been on that side. That's why we always treat those people nice as well. We do treat almost everybody nice. We really do. We try. It's just easier to treat people nice than to start off with some sort of negativity toward them. We really do. I think anybody that's met us would say that we seem to be relatively easy to get along with. Joyce will occasionally, like at Getz, the first few hours at Getz, Joyce was hiding behind me a bit. Is it safe to come out, honey?
Well, so a story from Buck Beer Fest earlier in the evening. As I got there, one of the guys, he was went to go take a family picture with all his siblings happened to be in town, and Dad was there, and I'm friends with all of them, and I'm like, go take a picture, and he handed me his beer mug that had about his 1 liter Mosskrug that had about a half of inch of beer in it, and I took a tiny drink out of it. And then I was outside later, about 15 minutes, talking with someone, and he comes up and he hands me a full Mosskrug, which is a 1 liter beer for people that don't know. He hands that to me and he says, here, take, he says, here. And taking his words and actions in the kindest possible way. I thought he was giving me the entire krug. So I was, I had that and I just started drinking it. And he's like, are you going to drink the whole thing? I'm like, well, yeah, you gave it to me, right, brother? I mean, come on, this is for me. No, I meant take a good drink and give it back. I'm like, oh, well, I thought you were being kinder than that.
Well, I did take a good drink, a real good drink. Thank you.
So,
can someone post Eric's channel? Well, let's make it a race. Who can get to it first?
I have no idea how to comment on this. Do I have to join the chat? Connect your YouTube. I don't know.
I got it here. I'm already in the W's. Bartle Restoration. Von Don Eisenbaum. Boom. Control copy. And then the chat.
Well, thank you, Anthony.
Paste. I always encourage people to post links to their channels. Some people get uptight about that. They're like, hey, don't be posting links during my live stream. Don't advertise your channel during my live stream. I'm like, oh, the whole point is we all promote. Go.
Yeah, I don't know how to use YouTube, so it's like I'm looking at this and I'm like, why didn't I put a space in between the words here? But I didn't think you could at the time. And if I change it now, will that change everything? And
no.
Start over from zero.
You can edit your name all the time. Well, actually, you could change it every 30 days. Once you change it, you have to leave it that way for 30 days.
Okay.
But so I had no trouble. I'm sure there's some guy going, Wham, Dan. But, even if you separate the words, they're going to go, Wham, Dan, Eisenhower, what?
Right.
Hey, Robin Taylor is here. Hello, Robin. One of the great N-scale specialists, makes her own locomotives, her own stuff, designs, 3D prints, paints, scenery, rolling stock, everything. Amazing talent.
Oh, now I understand. We're in StreamYard, so my YouTube isn't really there, so I can't click on the name and see the channel. Right. I'm learning how to use YouTube live.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Whenever you do StreamYard, you really should have YouTube open and muted, each individual window muted. That way you can still do things. Because, in StreamYard, you cannot click on the link and open it. You have to have a YouTube link. But it's crazy. I mean, but it's free. StreamYard is, at least the version I use, is free because I'm not going to pay them. I'm not going to pay them money to do what I can do with OBS for free.
I don't like paying for anything. Stop. Thank you. No, I like to pay for as little as possible.
Yeah,
I hear you there.
On computer, anything computer related, because Adobe no longer lets you do even their most basic stuff for free. So like Adobe PDF, there are free ones, but I do tend to trust Adobe more. So I pay for Adobe. And then my video software I no longer pay for because I bought their lifetime version. It used to be about $49 a year, and then they said for $129 marked down to $89, you can get the lifetime. And I said, well, I'm going to keep using it for more than 2 years, so yeah, why not? So now I just get a free upgrade with it every year. It's outdated. It's German. It's Nero Ahead AG. And of course, the minute you see AG, we know that's a German company or German speaking. But it's dated in some ways, but it's like a good old pair of jeans. They're just comfortable. And even if they're not the fanciest, it just fits right.
Right.
Hey, we got Possum Bayou, I believe, is here. Rusty is here. All right. You own Photoshop and Lightroom. And that's it. I don't think I pay for any other program. I will take advantage of some people's free, like Deposit Photo. You get 7 pictures free. Cool.
You know, that's what gets my dad in trouble. His hearing aids aren't synced to his phone anymore because the phone told me to click on this to install this, so I did. Oh, Dad. I had to redo his whole phone the other day, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was not.
Well, you had the video with Willie and Opa and Billy, which Kyan enjoyed that. Kyan was watching that with me because Opa. And I think there's a split second where you said Opa and Kyan is waiting for me to answer. It's like, no, Kyan, there's many Opas. Kyan only in the last 3 weeks realized that Opa and grandfather are the same thing.
Oh, that took me quite a bit more than that to realize that, because there was no grandma and grandpa for me growing up. Right. There was only Upi and Umi, and then I had Oma in Germany, and that's how we had them all separated, because there was Umi and Upi here, and Oma was in Germany, and then there was Uroma in Germany, which was the great grandma.
Right. And yeah, because 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in Germany, and but they were grandpa and grandma here in the United States. They anglicized very
Germany.
My mom's parents were both born in Germany, but once they came to America, it was, we do not speak German. And was somebody?
That's the way it was for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And I remember about, what was it? Probably 20 years ago, maybe 18, 20 years ago, the kids, Tyler and Alex, were in grade school, and there was a mom there with a really thick accent. And I'm trying to place it, and I was chatting with her a little bit, and then I'm like, "Are you teaching the kids?" She's like, "Oh no." I said, "That's a mistake. You teach those kids right now how to speak the language like a native, so they will pick it up and they will go with it and they will learn it and they will hold on to it." And she was from Poland, and I'm like, just teach them now, because it's not that big of a deal when the kids are. I think they were in preschool classes, so 3-4 years old.
Easier to learn if you start before age 7.
You know.
Yep, it's easier to learn. It's easier to learn a foreign language before age 7. It gets harder the later you wait to start.
Right, and you know, I didn't speak English till I started kindergarten.
Okay.
Because we spoke only German at home, and just people have told me that my German and my sister's German are different. Mine, they say, is just kind of, I don't know if it's, my sister, when she's talking, it seems forced, like she's working at it, and mine is more natural, I guess. That's what others have said, and I'm like, I don't see it, because I'm talking it. I don't see what you're seeing, but that's just what they're telling me. So I don't know how much truth there is, but I guess you got to believe other people sometimes.
It's very weird. I mean, I learned quite a bit of German as a kid from my grandmother Dodge. Okay, Dodge isn't German, but she was Gitana Bulgata.
Little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit German. She was born in what is now Zechen in Poland, but it was Stettin, Prussia at the time, and she was always sweet, lovable woman, but she was German. She used to always speak German, and my grandfather, who fought, he was already married, but he volunteered because he felt bad that he was the first generation of his family that did not fight in a war. So when World War I came in, he's married and got 2 kids. He's like, I'm joining the army. This is my chance, finally. And he joined the U.S. Army, and he fought in France. And whenever, and she died when I was 4, but I have such clear memories of her. She was like 4'9", 4'10", and my grandpa was 6'1". And she was just the sweetest little thing, gentle little soul. I have 3 vivid memory, well, a lot of vivid memories of her, but 3 that always come back. Sitting on her lap while she would always sing, Du liegst mir im Herzen, du liegst mir im Sinn. And I sing that song all the time. I used to sing it to Kyan when he was little until I think he was about 2 years old, and he put his hand up and said, stop, which I assume is like, Opa, your voice sucks. But then one of the other vivid, fun memories is that she would start speaking German, singing German songs, and my grandfather would always go, "Guy, stop speaking that kraut. Guy, I told you stop speaking that kraut. You know I don't want to hear that damn language. Heck, I was killing your people. I might have shot your brother for all you know." And he would say stuff like that, and then she would just look at him and go, "Oh, kuss mich Hafer." She would just think, and my grandfather always had that wink in his eye that he was being silly, and she would always give him that sweet little response, "Oh, kuss mich," and it was just so funny. But I definitely picked up some German for her, and then my Aunt Frida was one of the biggest ones. And then while my mom's parents didn't, they had relatives that came over. They were Bavarians, so I learned a lot of Bavarian through those relatives, never from those grandparents, but from other members of the family that all came over. And then my Aunt Frida, my dad's older brother, was a bomber pilot in World War II, and then he was one of the guys that stayed in Germany after the war, and he was there for 4 years, 5 years, because he did the Berlin airlift.
Oh,
he went from bombers to flying the transport planes and flying goods back and forth into Berlin. And while he was there, he met a young German girl who was actually from Dresden, and but her family had retreated from the Russians and gone to Berlin, and then got stuck in Berlin. And you can put your own mind to it, but she hated the Russians.
Oh,
she hated the Russians. But Frida would teach me a lot of German, which was a Saxon German, and her family, all her surviving family, came over as well, and they were all around. And then her nieces and nephews from the German side were all around. So learned a lot of German that way. But she and my uncle married, and then they came back to the States and brought her whole family over.
That's pretty cool. You were talking about that. Made me remember a story. Something that happened to me when I was, I think, 21, 22. I was in Germany, and I happened to come just in time for Vaterstag in Germany. Okay. And I was with my cousin, and it's something completely. I don't know if you've ever been there, ever seen what they do, but it is completely out of this world. I mean, we 22 guys went into the woods, and we had a wagon, and the wagon's only job was to carry the beer. And we overnighted in the woods. Well, the beer and the cooler with food. You know, we didn't take anything else. And we came back, and then they had a dance in the town, and, you know, a tent was up and music was playing and the band was going. And, you know, I kind of stand out because, one, I'm tall, and two, you know, I'm a Dominami, a dumb American that's there in Germany. And there was an Opa there, and and I happened to walk up to the bar while the Opa was there. He started cursing at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying. I wasn't there, and Opa was a POW in a Belgian coal mine. And then he started asking me some questions, and then he was buying me a drink because he was at that same coal mine as Opa. So, you know, it's like, okay, you're an Ami, but you got some German in you, so all right, we'll have a drink with you now.
I have been lucky when we get over there. Anymore, when I go to Germany, my first week it's getting my rhythm. Then my second, and we stay 4 weeks in Germany. So by second week, I'm fluent. And when people find out, they'll hear me turn around and speak English, like to Joyce or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go, "Wow, you speak great English." And I go, "Well, I'm American." I get told that even if my German has a funny accent, they assume I'm from some other part of Germany than from America. Or if they even remotely think I'm not German, they'll accuse me of being British.
Oh,
they'll think I'm British. Oh, are you British? Because that they don't think Americans learn or speak German.
Right.
And okay, Hot Dog Pilot. Well, hopefully I'll be awake in time for your live stream in the morning. I usually wake up. I've got this stupid internal alarm clock that says, "Oh, I need to wake up now." I've been retired for 3 years, and I'm still waking up at 5. But yeah, it's one of those things. You get over there, and yeah, as long as you're not, and Lord knows in our travels, Joyce and I have seen the ugly Americans. You know, the guys that go in there, "Hey, doesn't anybody in here speak English? What the hell?" It's like, well, you are in Germany. You might want to, understand that they don't have to speak English here. Or, and you get some of that. Like we were at Neuschwanstein, the one time we went to Neuschwanstein, and there's the line to get to the Marienbrücke. And you can see there's a line. And there's these group of American tourists from Oklahoma, and they're all throwing a fit about having to wait. And it's like, did you expect that you would come and be the only people here to see this? Why are there so many people here? Why are you here? Well, we want to see Neuschwanstein. Yeah, and you thought you were the only people in the world somewhere in Oklahoma deciding, you know what, let's go see Neuschwanstein. It's probably empty this time of year. No, it's never empty.
Well, it's Neuschwanstein is so funny. So we were visiting a friend of Kara's in Basel.
Okay.
And so we were with my grandma. We drove to Basel. And we drove because I'm American. I love driving. And I love driving where there is no speed limit. So that we rented a car. And then we drove from Basel and we were going to go to Neuschwanstein, and we stayed at that little inn that's by the entrance to the road going up to Neuschwanstein.
I actually know where you're talking about, yes.
So we stayed there. But between Basel and there, we got stuck in a blizzard.
Oh.
And, we drove through the border and it's like, oh, hello, Austria. And then, oh, hello, back in Germany 30 seconds later. And then, continued our way. And then all of a sudden we're in this blizzard. And it took us, what should have taken 3 hours took 9 or something. I don't remember what it was. It was just horrible. Horrible. We got there way late. We slept way late. And then you're like, okay, let's go. And we ran into a tour group from Japan. And then every place we went after that, because we were going to tourist places, because I don't have family in München. They're not Bavarian, so I don't have any family down there. But every place we went, we ran into the same tour group. And we have 6 different pictures with the same guy from Japan at each of these spots. So
I hate to say it, but there are certain stereotypes that bear out. And one of them is groups of Japanese in photographs. There's on a sort of a related story. The funny thing is I grew up and listening to my Aunt Frida. Dresden was the most beautiful city on the planet Earth. And how beautiful. And I had dreams of going. I wanted to go to Germany. And the very first job offer I had out of university was to teach English at a German boarding school in Switzerland. And Joyce did not want to move overseas. She did not want to move away from her family. So I never took that job. And every now and then Joyce says, I wonder what would have happened if we had taken that job. Too late now. But anyhow, so I didn't get to Germany. I taught German for 4 years before I ever went to Germany. In fact, when I started teaching German after years of teaching English and history, when I started teaching German, I had people giving me grief that you're teaching German and you've never been to Germany. I'm like, they offered me the job. What was I supposed to do? Say no?
Right.
I proved I could speak German. I proved I could teach it. I do have a degree in German and German education. So I wasn't feeling particularly nonplussed about it. But I didn't make it to Germany until I was 40. And by that time, I was riding with a friend who was in basically a little Opel. And we went on the Autobahn, and one of the little sections far outside of Bremen where it does go to no speed limit. And he's in this little thing and he's easily doing 150 miles an hour. And well, no, more like 120 miles an hour. It's like 160, 170 kilometers an hour. And the thing is, you get on the Autobahn and everybody, as a teenager, I dreamt of getting on the Autobahn and driving as fast as I could. But all of a sudden you get on there, it's like 6 lanes of everybody doing that speed. And by 40, I had lost a little bit of that racing edge. My dad was a car racer. It's kind of in the blood, but I had lost that edge. And yeah, I have never driven a car in Germany. Joyce and I take public transportation everywhere. We walk, tram, bus, subway, train, which is why I now have all this, is because I started riding trains in Germany and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with traveling by train, and I just had to have some reminder of it in my house. And long story short, I bought an IC3 because I thought those were the coolest trains, because I had been on one from Hamburg to Berlin that was going 250 kilometers an hour. And I was like, yeah! And so I had to have one. And Joyce looked at it, and I was going to put it in my classroom, and Joyce looked at it and said, this is too nice to put in your classroom. Get a cheap one for your classroom. You keep this one. Well, what am I going to do with it? She said, build a little layout somewhere.
and it's little. You know someone is out there that has bigger, so yours is little compared to theirs.
Yeah, mine is little compared to Miniature Wonderland. Yeah,
exactly. No, I think part of the reason I like driving on the Autobahn is my first trip to, not my first trip, but the first solo trip. I was 15
After 10.
and I was driving on the freeway with my uncle, and I'm sitting in the back seat, and I look up, and the speedometer said like 220. And as I'm sitting there, I hear, meow, and this motorcycle passed us like we were parked. And that was just absolutely amazing. And I think my love of the Autobahn began at that moment.
Right. Yeah, I need to take care of this reminder. Yes. Once again, if you have come in since the last couple weeks, you haven't been on this channel for a while, just a reminder, Artie has been unavailable, and we have been kind of not truthful as to why Artie has not been here. And in reality, Artie has developed a, dare I say, Artie, he's developed a coke habit. And Artie has, we Joyce and I and Attila Varga have been covering up for Artie's problems. Artie disappeared a few weeks ago when we were trying to help him with an intervention. And he was found a couple of weeks ago by some of his closest friends, Keith and Kendra here. And Artie is currently in rehab. But Artie has vowed that he is on the straight and narrow path, and he shall be back next week. So this show, for the first time in several months, will not be on this channel. It will be over on Artie's channel. There is a link in the video description below. But yeah, Artie will be returning for the first time. We're trying to, we want it to be pressure-free. We don't need anything to happen that would make Artie feel the need to resort to his issues. But we feel this has been constructive. I don't know if I'll be co-hosting or not. Artie was not happy that we finally ratted him out and divulged his deepest secret of what he's doing. But I figured if I have Joyce sitting with me next week for a bit, boobs have a way of calming the savage beast. And yeah, we will be on Artie's channel. Artie will be back for the first time since November, early December, because he had been gone for a while. We got him straightened out. He came back, and then he fell off the wagon. And he fell off the wagon hard. The wagon was going downhill, and he fell after it. So Artie is currently in rehab, but he will be back next week. So hopefully, snorting coke is never good. Carbonated beverages do not belong up the nose. So yeah, Artie will be back on his channel next week. So don't come here, go there.
That's our game night.
But Artie will be back. Same time, but not the same place. Same bat time, different bat channel. Oh no, he can do that. He can have his happy tobacco. Yeah, he got busted with a big bag of coke. Yeah, I mean, it was a terrible scene. I mean, he took punches at the kangaroos and then the cops. It was it's been a hard intervention. He went through three different therapists. Therapist is a fancy word for psychologist. And he went through 3 of them in a day. One tore up the notebook, one burned the couch down. And he tried to do it while Artie was still on the couch. Yeah, it was ugly. It's an ugly situation, but we will be back next week with Artie. Because really, it is 10 after 10, and I am well past my bedtime. I should be turning into a pumpkin by now.
My beverages are empty. I need another.
Yeah, I had to switch to sparkling water and Powerade. I had to give up the Coke and the Pepsi. So
I do like my sparkling water too. I'm the only one in my family that brought that back from Germany. I like my carbonated water. And what I love about Germany is, of course, it, depending on where you're in Germany, like some of the slang it's like Wasser mit Gas. I love that one. Wasser mit Gas. Wasser, stilles Wasser is the easiest way to get it. Ich möchte stilles Wasser. And the nice thing is in Germany, it's color coded.
Yeah.
They have a color code from completely no carbonation to heavy carbonation. Each one has a different color cap.
I still want to say, as an expert in water, you're doing it wrong. But there's no way you can drink. I cannot stand carbonated water.
Okay.
The absolute worst.
Yeah, see, I like it, but most people agree with you, but I like it.
This stuff I buy at Walmart's like flavored water. It's like, they got like cherry peach, key lime. It's actually really good.
And that's when my drinking problem started. Had to get in an airplane quote before we go. All right, so anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank both Eric and Fredo. No, not Fredo.
Randall.
Fredo Bagino. No, it's Randall. Randall Cunningham. No, not Randall Cunningham. It's Randall Ellison.
Yep.
For being up here as he has been each week to help me out to play my sidekick as I play Artie's sidekick.
Glad I was able to do it.
I'm glad to have you guys here. Thanks for coming up, because the funny thing is the stuff I wanted to be a conversation actually did go for about an hour, and then we go sidetrack. But we were on Sidetrack Saturday. That name sounds familiar. Sidetrack Saturday, but no, I prefer Wacky Weekend. So anyhow, I want to thank everybody for being here. But yeah, I'm going to do a quick cutout. All of you who joined us, thank you for listening to a bunch of mad ramble and then two other people trying to make some sense of it all. So take care, everybody. We'll see you next one.
We were supposed to make sense of it? I thought we were just rambling madly.
I never accuse other people of rambling. I only accuse myself.
Oh, okay.
So on that note, all my catchphrases.
I'm just here so I don't get fined, as the famous football players once said.
Everybody's got to be somewhere, and I'm here. So, Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.
Vorsicht bei der Abfahrt.